Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is One Pretty Ricky. We're super happy that you guys are all here making it. It is another fantastic Wednesday. This is the F5 Recovery Radio. We're super grateful that we're able to do this each and every week and be able to have amazing people like you who tune in and enjoy our show. I'm joined with my co-hosts, Kirsten Huovinen and Adam Martin. We have a wonderful special guest with us today, so we're super happy about that. So Sean Wilson is the one of the directors over at dream.org, and we're super thankful for the work that him obviously does, and as well as his organization. So Sean, can you hear us okay, or are we tapped in? We good?
I can still hear you.
Yeah, perfect. There we go.
Okay.
Sean, we're so super thankful that you're here, and thank you for joining us so much. I'm just going to key you up a little bit. And so we actually, so Sean, kind of, I guess your manager or booking person kind of found us and found F5 and was really cool to be able to kind of read a little bit more about you. But obviously we know who you are, but, our listeners who are tuning in and on Facebook probably, don't know you. So if you want to just share a little bit about your background and a little bit about dream.org, and then we'll tackle some questions we have today.
Absolutely. And thank you all for having me this morning. I'm very excited to be on the show. Looking forward to the conversation that is very necessary in today's time. So my name is Sean Wilson. I am a father. I am a husband, a brother, a community member, an activist, organizer, all of those things. Someone who is committed to bringing about transformational change and disrupting all of the systems that disrupt all of our lives in some capacity. In addition to that, I am a citizen who happens to be impacted by the criminal legal system. Over 20 years ago, at the age of 17, I was arrested, charged, and convicted, and sentenced to a total of 50 years in Wisconsin's Department of Corrections. I served a total of 17 years in Wisconsin Department of Corrections, 17 years of which I spent doing a lot of internal work, 17 years of which I spent doing a lot of healing, a lot of educating myself about the system in which I found myself in. And coming up on my release, I made a commitment that I was going to come home and I was going to expose this system for what it was and what it does and what it's not doing. And so coming up on 7 years of being free, I am doing just that. I am working now for an organization called dream.org, which is a national nonprofit that works in 3 issue areas. Criminal justice reform, climate justice, and creating equity for Black and brown communities within the tech sector. And so my role at this organization as organizing director is building national capacity to pass transformational criminal justice reform legislation at the local, state, and federal level. And the way we do that is our collaboration with directly impacted leaders at the ground level and helping them or enabling them with the tools and the resources that they need to get their advocacy. We are an organization that hold true to the quote coined by Glenn Martin, that those who are closest to the problem are closest to the solution. And so we're working daily, centering the voices of directly impacted individuals, because only way we're able to solve the issue of mass incarceration in this country is by collaborating with those who are proximate to this issue, collaborating with those who have been directly impacted by this issue. And that's the only way to really undo the harm that this system has caused. Did you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just it's coming. We can hear everything you're saying. It's just kind of robot-y.
Yeah.
But that's on our. I think it's on our side. It's not yours. So we're working on it. So just keep doing you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess
so that's what we do here at Dream.org. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And I appreciate that you shared a little bit about your background and just I think being a part of or having gone through the system and having your own impact with the justice system really helps being able to motivate and be able to give you the no, this is why I want to do this because I understand it, I know it, I've been through it. So what are some of the things that you have seen? You've mentioned that you've been released for 7 years, so congratulations. That's amazing that you were able to do everything that you needed to do to be able to be here and to be a part of your family and everything else. So in this past 7 years, what have been some of the biggest, if you can share, what have been some of the biggest impacts that you have been able to make and that you've seen, both either personally or just in your role at dream.org? What have been some of the impacts that you've seen, during this time?
Well, I'll speak briefly about some of the impact that I've been able to have. In Wisconsin, we have an issue just as we have an issue of probation and parole violations all across the country. And so you all are familiar with Meek Mill's case where he was sent to prison because he violated a rule of his provision by popping a wheelie. In Wisconsin, over 2,000 to 3,000 people are sent back to prison each year for violating a rule of their supervision at a cost to taxpayers of over $200 million. When I was a staff member or the campaign manager at ACLU of Wisconsin, we launched a campaign called Crime Revocation. We were able to successfully bring over 300 people to Wisconsin State Capitol to have conversations with their elected officials around not only crime revocation, but how laws and policies on the book continue to perpetuate a false narrative, how it continues to harm and disrupt communities of color. And so we were able to successfully get the governor and his administration in that policy that prevents individuals from being automatically sent to prison, not collect $200, not pass go, you're going straight to prison. So we were able to advise the governor's office, the governor's administration to put a policy that will prevent that. And as a result of that policy being enacted, that number of people being returned to prison as a result of violating a technical revocation or technical rule has decreased. And just to give you an example of what I mean by technical rule violations, we heard a story where one guy lived in apartment A and he moved to apartment B without notifying his probation and parole agent. Because he moved without notifying them, they revoked his probation and sent him back to prison. Now, people in society hears this and they are in disbelief, but these are the type of stories that are sending individuals back to prison. This is the type of arbitrary power that probation and parole officers have that society is not aware of when they often ask the question of, well, if they were sent back to prison, they had to do something wrong. In a lot of cases, many of these individuals are just violating a rule of supervision. They may have a dirty urinalysis. They may have hung out with someone who they were unaware was a felon. And as a result of those type of rule violations, individuals are being sent back to prison at a cost to taxpayers of anywhere from $30,000 upwards of $200,000, depending on the state that you are in. And so I'm very happy that I was involved in bringing about a minuscule amount of change in the state of Wisconsin around that issue, and really change the narrative around what is happening within probation and parole in the state of Wisconsin.
Absolutely. Oh, I think it's amazing. Appreciate you sharing that. Like stories like that. Like I definitely have. We've heard of a lot of. I mean, unfortunately, in North Dakota, it's a little bit better. We haven't had anything that significant.
Well, we've had a ton of reform in the last probably 8 years or so with probation and where we have recovery peer supports that are teamed up with probation officers now. I can tell you that a lot of the times when we've had a person that's relapsed while they're on probation, the PO is calling the peer support and asking them to come and meet with them too And I sat in a probation meeting with a guy who was known as the guy who like
gets sent
the
back.
collector. You know what I mean? Like he was the guy known as sending people back to prison for like and the whole time we were in that meeting, I don't know what trainings happened or whatever, but he was just like, the guy's like, yeah, I relapsed. He was like, well, you know, why don't you just spend, like, if Adam's willing to do it, why don't you guys spend more time together? And he's like, so you're not going to violate me? He was like, no, I think, and that
great.
conversation probably happened like 8 times.
Yeah.
Right? Like throughout months or whatever, where we're like meeting with the PO, and the PO just kept pushing him to like go back to recovery, seek out recovery. Do you need treatment? Do you need whatever? And it was like mind blowing.
That's huge.
Because like my experience on probation, they were always like on the hunt to catch me. You know what I mean? Like standing outside windows and just you know, showing up at random times to like search my, you know, not even my apartment. Like it was like, I'm pretty sure that this is illegal because this is someone else's apartment, but they didn't like it was cuff them and stuff them like back in the day. And it's like, and I'm not saying it's perfect. There's still, you know, but it's more about bad eggs within the system than there is about the bad system. You know what I mean? Here in North Dakota, and a lot of that has to do with like the governor and the reforms and stuff. So, but I'm 100% on same board, you know, nationally when it, like with what Sean was saying, because it's very legalistic where we're sending people back to prison for breaking rules or policies and not laws, you know? And so the only other group of people that we've known in history that do is Pharisees, legalists, right? Where they would, you know, put rules on top of laws to ensure that people wouldn't break the laws and treated them as laws, right? So it's a virus throughout the nation, and I'm really glad that Sean's spotlighting it, and that's his platform, because it needs to be heard.
Yeah.
And so, Sean, you had shared a little bit, obviously, about some of the work that you've been able to do. What are some of the other initiatives that either locally, nationally, or you know, obviously regionally, that Dream? Obviously, you talked about, you know, the parole violations, but what are some of the other big significant issues that Dream.org is working towards and is kind of putting their efforts towards? Can you share a little bit more about some of those?
Absolutely. And so our objective is to build nationwide capacity, as I said earlier, to pass legislation at the local, state, and federal level. And the way we do that is by collaborating with directly impacted leaders, because we understand that they are closest to the problem, therefore closest to the solution. One of the things I realized when I first came home from prison and wanting to do this work was that I lacked certain tools and resources in order to like speak about the issues that impacts us as a country as it pertains to mass incarceration. And so, of course, you know, I shared my story with anyone that I was able to share my story with. And of course, it resonated. It went from there, and it created other opportunities for me to do this type of work. But here at Dream.org, we're very intentional in collaborating with leaders and ensuring that we connect them to resources and tools that they need to bring about change within their local or their state, or even at the federal level. And so we do a lot of training here at Dream.org, where we train advocates in organizing. We train them in how to share their story effectively. We train them how to directly engage legislators. We train them on public speaking. And so our Dream Justice cohort, entering into its 3rd year, has selected 28 directly impacted leaders from all across this country who are coming into the cohort with a campaign idea that they want to launch upon completing this cohort. And so we will collaborate with these leaders to pass legislation at the local, state, and federal level. And at the federal level, we're pushing to bring about change within the drug laws. For example, the Equal Act, eliminating a quantifiably unjust application of the law. As you all know, there's a disparity between the crack and powder law. And so we're trying to get it 1-to-1. And if we are successful, or not if we are successful, but when we are successful, this will bring thousands of individuals home from prison. This will restore families. This will restore communities. And so we're working every day in the U.S. Congress, lobbying legislators to urge them to vote yes on the Equal Act because of the impact that it will have. And not only just the impact that it will have, but the retroactivity that this law will put into effect. And so we're urging everyone within the sound of my voice, everyone that follows us on social media, that visits our website, to reach out to your congressperson, reach out to your senator, and tell them to vote yes on the Equal Act because of the impact that it will have on thousands of Americans all across this country who are impacted by the drug wars and its laws.
Hey, Sean, so for the people who don't, I have ADHD.
Surprise.
For the people who don't know what the
Never
Equal
guessed.
Act is, you'll even have to refresh me. So, the people that are listening in North Dakota, your congressman is House Representative Kelly Armstrong, and Senator Hoven and Senator Kramer. So those are our three in North Dakota. For the people who don't know about Armstrong, he used to be a criminal defense attorney, and he has been a big advocate for a lot of the reforms that are happening up at working alongside Cory Booker and a few others. And so on the Equal Act, Sean, is this the act where they're going to treat crack and cocaine as the same for sentencing, or is this a different one?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It will definitely level the playing field between crack and powder cocaine. Last session, we were able to get it voted out of the House of Representatives, but it died in the Senate.
Yep.
And so this go round, we're really pushing hard to get it voted out of the voted on in the Senate so that we can get this law put on the book so that we can bring thousands of people home. And we all may think that this does not impact us, but I assure every American within the sound of my voice that this impacts them in one way or the other. As they often say, that we are 6 degrees separated from one another, and we are even 6 degrees separated from the issues in which we advocate for or don't advocate for. We all know someone that is suffering from some form of substance abuse. We have many individuals who are not receiving the treatment that they are in need of in a carceral setting, and many folks are coming home and are, succumbing to overdose because they didn't receive that treatment in the carceral setting. In fact, as I just made a post yesterday, that prisons doesn't heal, prisons doesn't address the trauma or the substance abuse that individuals are suffering from. What actually happens is it's exacerbated and folks are coming home worse off than they went in. And so I urge everyone to educate themselves on these issues, figure out how they can get involved, and really leverage your ballot, really leverage your tax-paying dollars and when you are having these conversations with elected officials all across this country, because they want your vote. And you should want one thing from them, and that is for them to act on your behalf and to vote from a values-based position. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for context for people who are listening, another reason that this is very important is because they have different sentencing for powder cocaine and crack, and and obviously, like in North Dakota, we don't hear about crack a lot, right? We hear about meth, we hear about cocaine, but what's another thing about North Dakota that's not this similar to everyone? It's 86% white. You know what I mean? Right. So that's why, and so in a lot of these other areas where crack is more prominent, it's not that addiction is not specific to African Americans or Black Americans, but it happens more in those areas. So we're basically creating longer sentences for Black Americans, right? And so, and when you compare crack and you put it next to cocaine, I guarantee you, 9.5 out of 10 people won't know the difference. Right. You know what I mean? And so it's suppressing generations of Black Americans by keeping them in prison, tearing them away from their children. And I mean, if you want to control a group of people, what do? You take their children. And if you can't take their children, you take their fathers. So this this would equal out people to get access to treatment, to get fair sentencing, to getting them out of prison, getting them back into the community, raising up leaders, like the whole works. It's crazy to think that one bill can do this, but it can. And I guarantee you that our senators are not educated about this, and super detached. And we need more people like our House Representative Kelly Armstrong, who spent time in the courtrooms and saw this unfair sentencing happening, representing us and educating people. So, Sean, big fan. Appreciate the work that you're doing, man. And we're 100% behind it over here at F5 Project.
Absolutely. I truly appreciate the support. And again, you know, we're working to build transformational relationships all across this country, with any and everyone that we are in communication with, anyone that we're collaborating with. We understand that the criminal justice system is not something that's going to change overnight. We know that these issues within the system did not happen overnight. This is a problem that has exacerbated over the last 40, 50, even 100 years. And in order for us to really bring about change within this system, we got to hold the folks accountable who are making laws that continues to perpetuate the harm that this system causes. And so, again, you know, I tell people often, you know, get informed, get proximate to individuals who are impacted, ask questions, attend events, you know, tune in to radio shows like this one, and figure out how you can plug in at the local, state, and even at the federal level. At the federal level, folks can join our folks can visit our website, dream.org. They can join our Empathy Network. The Empathy Network is a nationwide network of individuals who are directly impacted by the criminal legal system, survivors of crime, family members, friends, any and everyone that wants to address the issue of mass incarceration in this country can plug in by visiting our website and signing up to join the Empathy Network, and also join our other efforts that is happening in our other programs around climate justice, as well as around creating equity within the tech sector, where right now we're working to remove any and all biases within the tech sector so that impacted individuals have equal access to employment that will contribute to their successful reintegration back into society. And so our mission and our goal is to close prison doors and open doors of opportunity. And so we're doing that by through legislative engagement, and we're opening doors of opportunity by having conversations with corporate America and other employers on behalf of, and not only on behalf of, but also bringing directly impacted individuals proximate to these employers so that they can understand the barriers that they face when they are filling out long ass applications, or when they are, you know, facing biased interview managers. We're bringing directly impacted individuals closest to these executives so that they can hear directly from them on how they can improve their hiring practices, and vice versa. They're able to share with impacted individuals how to best show up to secure a job.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Awesome. Appreciate it. We're about 4 minutes past the interview hour. We got to start doing our commercials and stuff. Sean, we should connect more, you and I, after this, and I'd love to hear more about dream.org. I see it all over LinkedIn and on social media. I'm a fan, and I would love to get connected with you after this. I think that we could probably do some major damage together. So I appreciate your story. And it looks like you're at home with are you at home with your family right now?
Yes, I am. We work remotely. We have the fortune of working remote. So, yep, I'm at home with the fam.
Man, if I was at home with my kids or whatever, I'd be like, I'm not working today. I'm just going to play. So, well, appreciate it, Sean. Thank you for your time today. You got any final things you want to say before we let you go?
Absolutely. I definitely want to thank you three. I want to thank you all for the work that you're doing in North Dakota. And I told Ricky as well in a previous call that if there's anything that Dream.org can do or myself to support the work that you all are doing there, please let us know. And we are working on something, Adam, that I really think that you all will be interested in collaborating on, that we're going to be doing in Wisconsin. I know you guys have my boy Jesse Heffernan on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
So definitely going to tap in with him, and we'll follow up with you all to see if you all are interested in collaborating on something that we're about to launch in Milwaukee, but more so the entire state of Wisconsin around, drug laws and recovery and things of that nature.
Cool. We appreciate it. So
Yeah,
everybody
thank
listening,
you.
This is Sean from dream.org. Make sure you go to their website, check it out. If you got questions and stuff and you want to get them to Sean, I'm sure if his contact info isn't on there, we'll get it here and we'll make sure that you get it. And so get yourself educated, understand the Equal Act, reach out to your legislators, and let's get active. So Sean, thank you again for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
All right.
Sean. See you later.
See you later.
This is F5 Recovery Radio. And so we want to just thank so much everyone who's just tuning in and listening, but we want to specifically make a ask of our business owners, managers, and other nonprofit organizations. If you are considering advertising, we would love for you to learn what underwriting is for a nonprofit community radio station like Radio Free Fargo. To learn more about how to do that, please contact them at their website on www.radiofreefargo.org, or you can find Radio Free Fargo on Facebook. Let your listeners know that you support the community by supporting this amazing community radio station, 95.9, that we host our show on. So super awesome and super grateful again to Sean so much for just spending some time with us this morning. And it's always just interesting. We talk, obviously it's in the title of our show about recovery, but so much of that, really just there's the impact that the criminal justice system and those who, from addiction, it's just incredible just how much impact that really has, not just for that, when you're making that offense, but just how long term that effect that really takes on people. It's significant, so significant.
Yeah, it's huge. And it feels like they're set up to fail when they get out. And the people that can make the change don't know the information, aren't educated on the different issues and how discriminatory it can be, and how like the ripple effect of putting families back together and having kids with dads at home. It's just like, it's such a huge issue. I just love that there's more awareness for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about the crack versus powder thing. Yeah.
Well, that's the
crazy.
The interesting thing about laws, and because it's been a law for a long time, so it's like nobody's talking about it until it becomes a law or until they want to get rid of it as a law.
Right.
And so we have so many laws that are just sitting there that are affecting people, but they only affect small groups of people.
They're designed
that
to
don't
be
really have a
discriminatory.
voice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Until someone. My guess is part of the reason they're changing these laws is some legislator's son got caught with crack.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's usually when people start changing laws or whatever, is because it affects the hunt of the legislator.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Funny, right?
So you can probably take this off.
You
now.
don't
Yeah. And I don't know that I would know the difference between the two either. I'd probably just have to smell them.
Let me investigate this a little closer.
Most people wouldn't even know the difference between nutmeg and weed, let alone crack and cocaine. So
Oh, funny. Anyway, okay. That's awesome, though. He was great. He was really great.
good stuff.
Glad he's doing that. Dream.org, is that what it is?
Dream.org.
All right,
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
And if you are listening on Facebook, or even if you listen to the radio and you follow us on Facebook, in the comments of this video, I posted their website. They have a great Facebook page as well as an Instagram. As Sean had mentioned, please just like as always, just stay informed. We obviously encourage and hope that people will write their senators and will take more action. But at the very, very least, We just want you to stay informed. I think that's so important.
Have a conversation about it with people. Be
Mm-hmm.
willing to talk about it and advocate for the have-nots, because that's a huge thing. And it's really lack of education.
Right.
The public just doesn't know a lot of these things. They don't, like, addiction is still thought of as a moral issue. And like, even on TV, when they have like the most wanted day or whatever, nobody realizes that they haven't even been to court yet.
Right.
You know, they have just been charged. They have not been found guilty or anything like that. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But people see that, and it might be just a bench warrant they're on most wanted for, but people assume that, like, must be a murderer, you know. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and nobody knows that. I mean, even when it comes to any kind of like, when people hear you're on probation, you could be on unsupervised probation, right? Or you could be. Here's the thing: like, I honestly think we need reform on how we do the registry for sex offenders, because there's guys that I know a guy recently who, like, 100% was just a 4 years of separation. He was like 18.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bananas.
And I'm not justifying what he did by any means. But he ended up doing like 15 years in prison and got out, and now he's like getting his mugshot posted all over the place. Right. You know, and it says he's a level 3 sex offender, and it has nothing to do with the crime. It has to do that he might relapse, like, and use drugs. You know what I mean? If he didn't have a drug problem, he'd be level 1, and no one would even been notified. Right. Like, and there's got to be some reform tied to that stuff, because we need to know about who are threats to society and who aren't.
Yeah, I think we're punishing an illness more than treating it. And anyway, and the general public doesn't know what levels mean. They just hear if it's higher, it's got to be worse, and they're probably going to be in my neighborhood.
He's a level 90.
It's going to be awful.
Sex offender.
It's just like this lack of education where we assume that once a criminal, always a criminal, and we take away their ability to even get the services they need to get. Because if you get out and you're on probation and you're a felon, now you can't get a job, you can't get a place to live, you have back child support. I mean, you're just in a rough situation, and the community as a whole just thinks like, well, you shouldn't have screwed up, you know. But most of that is due to an illness, which is, you know, should be treated. Anyway, so the prisons are full of sick people, not criminals. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just get so mad.
There's probably more criminals at the Capitol than there is in the prison.
Yeah, that's true.
That was DC, not talking about North Dakota.
Yeah, no.
Well, I like that Sean even brought that up, like just this idea that, you know, the criminal justice, or really specifically in prisons, the people aren't getting healed. They're not getting the resources and services for a wide variety of reasons. And we've talked a little bit about that, but it's unfortunate that, yes, like, you know, we're not saying that people who've committed a crime, you know, shouldn't be able to, you know, shouldn't have some sort of accountability to the community or, you know, to the people that were harmed, all of that. But at the same time, you know, where's the reform and the change really needs to happen? Like, how are we going to help that person? Yeah. Especially, I mean, because even just specifically in North Dakota, I think Adam had mentioned, I think on 2 hands, there's probably people who are serving life sentences, which means that out of the 98%, 99% of people who are currently incarcerated are coming home at some point. Yeah. So if there's no programming for them, if there's nothing to be able, and not just all right, you're getting released 90 days from now, so let's try to hurry up and get you some help. You know, what are you going to do when you get out? You know, outside of that, like, what are we really offering people in there to be able to do to make sure that they are going to be able to hopefully come back and not reoffend and be able to get the help that they need, because they're coming back to their families, they're coming back to our communities, they're coming back to, oh no, they're coming back to my neighborhood. Well, would we want to be able to help those people? Wouldn't we want to be able to make sure that they are going to be able to come back and be productive members of society? Because forget the money, because I don't, you know, some people are like very like, oh, you know, Sean had mentioned about the tens of thousands of dollars that taxpayers pay. Like, I'm not going to lie.
It would be interesting to see how much goes into putting someone back in prison versus what if they invested that money in treatment centers.
It's like $60,000 a year.
It's bananas.
Yeah, it's more expensive to lock someone up for a year than it is to get them a college degree. Yeah.
Holy goodness sakes. Yeah. That's hard to swallow. I mean, that to hear and to think like that's and that's how we're treating our sick people. And like Ricky said, I don't think there should be like a lack of accountability, but setting people up to fail is not benefiting anything. And I think we continue to make them on the fringe of society. And it's just like, why build a taller wall when you can build a longer table? You know what I mean? Like, just talk with these people. It'd be, and I get it. You know, people like Adam look scary, hard to approach, but just a teddy bear, you know.
just a husky teddy bear.
Aren't teddy bears like normally husky though? I don't think I've seen it.
When people are like, man, he's like a bear, he's like a teddy bear. I'm like, have you ever been around a bear? They're not friendly. They might be too literal. It should be like he's kind of like a. You can't even say like he's like a seal, because seals
they'll mess you up.
Yeah, they will mess you up. Or he's like a koala bear. No. Have you ever seen a koala bear? No, because they will hunt. They will get you.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
They just eat leaves and sleep.
No, they feel threatened just like any other animal, and they will attack you.
Well, I don't know what to compare you to then.
He's like a puppy dog that's been trained nice.
And still poops on the floor sometimes.
Yeah. Oh man, woke up this morning. Chrissy had got a new puppy or whatever, and I come outside and she's outside washing the kennel because crapped in it last night.
They're cute. I don't want another one, but
No.
I wish you could have people could have when they're thinking about like even during COVID there was like an uptick of people getting puppies and stuff, and then a bunch of them ended up in foster care or whatever they call it, doggy kennels. I wish that people could like have like that objective thinking of like, I'm gonna have to wash out puppy kennel with poop when they're thinking about getting that dog.
Yeah. How cute it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like getting in a relationship. Like when you meet this girl and she's just like, oh my God, she's amazing, and I'm amazing, and she thinks I'm amazing, and
she knows it.
And then like 3 months later, you're like, I hate you. I want nothing to do with you. The worst day of my life is the day I met you.
And then you break up 4 years later or something.
Yeah, 4 years later.
Just stick it out. It'll get better.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of, but like if you think about dogs, if you just wait a little longer, they just become a lazy dog, and then they're just like nice to have on the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be that dog.
Well, that is
He's just a lazy guy that I just enjoy having on the couch.
That's kind of a lot like marriage, really. Yeah,
100%.
I know. You guys listen better the older you get, or you don't. You just know better.
Yeah.
We just
I think
we know
better
just,
is better, because I was like, I don't think
it's not listening better. We don't open our mouth as much.
Mm-hmm.
My dad once told my mom was asking him a question about lunch or something like that, and he didn't hear it, so he just piped up, "You look fine." I was like, whoopsie, because now every time he says "you look fine," that doesn't count for much. So don't use that line.
No generic.
Guys are kind of like like if we say it once, like that's it. Like I told you one time that you look really pretty. Mm-hmm. That's an ongoing statement.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It does we're just not built that way to say it all the time.
You don't say it all the time.
We feel like we're just being repetitive and annoying. It's just like, oh, you look pretty today. You look pretty today. You look pretty. Like that's how it feels.
Yeah, but you just like if you can see that some effort was made, like maybe some makeup is on, or like put on the underwear that holds your gut in, or just makes an effort. Like then you say, "You look pretty."
No, but if I say, "Damn, look at that booty."
Nice. True. That's awesome. That's even better. Anytime you're excited about it, then it just is like, "Oh my gosh, that's legit."
Oh, okay. So enthusiasm.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe say like, "What I'm not going to do," blah blah blah. Like chicks dig all of those things. All of those things.
Yeah.
One time I called home.
What? I'm gonna really throw a glitch in the matrix. I'm gonna do the dishes and tell her, "You look pretty today."
Oh my God!
Adam, have my baby.
I am speechless.
Next time
I
you
am
compliment her,
speechless.
guys, make sure you're vacuuming
Yeah.
when you do it.
Oh,
she
that
can't
is
hear you.
hot. That is hot.
So she can't.
Yeah.
hear you.
I said so
I
much
always
about
give you
you.
so many compliments when I'm vacuuming.
Just turn it on while you sit on the couch. Hold it there.
String compliments.
I told Matt one time to turn on the oven. I called home and I said, "Can you turn on the oven?" And then he sends me a video where he's talking to the oven. He's like, "Hey, oven, how you doing? You like it hot?" You know what I mean?
Oh my god!
So the pizza didn't get done, but my boys learned a lot of one-liners.
Hello, you come here often, oven?
How hot do you want it?
Oh man!
Yeah, we
Anyway.
don't have any fun on this show ever.
Nope.
Nope.
Dude, I'm telling you, this Shindig app is like a half hour behind.
Yeah.
Like it still has Sean on Facebook.
Really?
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
Well, he's the most educational part of this for sure.
Right.
Yeah, like it's just starting to say when I was talking about legalism.
That's weird that yours is. I mean, are you watching it live?
Yeah.
Oh.
How many
But I
different
don't-
programs like that are out there? How many do you know of that are doing the same thing that F5 is doing? Because this sounds very similar.
Adam has toured.
Oh,
quite a few
it's
of
not
them.
live.
Yeah, that's
Now it's live. What?
Mhm.
That's so weird. Why did you do that?
Operator error. That's so odd.
weird. Yeah, but there's actually quite a few organizations that are very similar, either similar or just like tackle different things. Like I think, was that last year when you went down to Florida for the? It's not like God, there was an organization that's in Florida that specifically like helps people who are incarcerated coming out.
Oh, yeah.
I think you and Curtis took
Project
that.
180?
I
Yes.
was just
Yeah, I
asking
went
how
this
many
year, too.
different programs are there like F5 out there?
Oh, like F5?
I mean,
Oh,
not.
here we go.
Yeah.
See, it's
no,
all
I
about
know,
how
I
you
know.
phrase it.
Yep.
You should have said preheat on that oven.
With
Yay! See that callback?
oh, God.
I don't get it.
Well, we'll tell you later.
I just watched a video the other day that if you want to manipulate someone who's like tearing you down, like if they like make a joke about you, you just ask them to repeat the joke.
Like, can you say
Like
that
I
again?
don't what,
understand
and
what.
then they say it again, and then you're like, I don't get it, and then they just like feel like defeated. And
Yeah,
you're just like
like, I put all
"Yes,
this effort
I
in it."
win.
I knew exactly what you meant. Ha.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's a lot more
But
programs.
anyway,
Anyways.
A lot more programs that are helping people as they come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what I'm asking is, are these popping up all over the place now, or?
well, what's her Abigail asked a question earlier. Now I lost it. But basically, is it because of F5 Project or similar organizations that like a lot of things is shifting in the ecosystem? And I would say that like I think F5, like the people that work there, are a big reason for it because they all have stories. They all have, and they're running around helping people. And the best way to change people's mindsets is to help them.
Yeah.
And
And they're
so-
advocating for people.
Yeah.
So that changes a lot.
and people see it and they listen and they
Yeah.
and they see people are getting better and stuff, so then their mindsets change. And I think probation has changed because they're seeing the outcomes of a lot of the programs that are happening. But throughout, I don't know many organizations that are specific to recovery and reentry like we
Okay.
are. It's usually one or the other.
Yeah.
Project 180, they are.
Yep.
They help create a recovery pod in a jail, and they have speakers going there all the time, and they're doing the steps, and it's actually really, really cool.
Yep.
But outside of that, it seems to be a lot more sober homes are popping up. But they're not really focused on reentry or programming such as leveling up skills as much as they are about leveling up recovery.
Right.
But that's the foundation.
Yeah.
So
But I think there are more organizations that are treating and focusing on recovery than the reentry. I think we need more organizations that are
100%.
that are addressing reentry.
Yeah. And mental health, just to get an appropriate assessment for mental health once they've been sober a while,
Yep.
because otherwise it looks like a lot of mental health concerns. Addiction looks like a lot of different things. But, and just in my career, I've seen it being treated differently when I started, and it was very much a moral issue or seen as that.
Yep.
Even in a treatment center, if someone were to relapse or something, they would be discharged from the program. And it's just like, isn't that what we're here to treat, And
Right.
I understand, like, someone bringing chemicals in and endangering other people's recovery. I understand that piece, and that's important to not be a part of your program, but to just let someone go for displaying a symptom of an illness seems so
counterproductive.
Oh, yeah. And that's changed a little bit over the years, and I think that's just because of advocates and people willing to talk about it, and it's not so shameful anymore to say like, I have troubles with mental health. I have concerns with addiction. You know what I mean? It's just not as anyway, it used to be just don't talk about it. You know what I mean? Send somebody to get the cure or whatever they'd say. But there isn't. There isn't that program out there.
Right.
The cure, that's just a band.
Yeah. But I think one of the things that I was like super grateful, like when I first found out about F5 was like a really pivotal turning point, because I'd gotten charged and, I had gotten sentenced. And so like I was 9 months, maybe 10 months clean at that point. And then I learned about F5, and I think and so I went to this peer support class. And I think one of the biggest differences that like really at least, again, I'm only speaking from personal experience, but like one of the biggest changes is that up until that point, I was like saying not every week, like several times a week that I'm addiction to gambling. I'm a compulsive gambler. I'm saying all these different things, but I was never addressing like my crime.
Yeah.
Outside of when I had to do my, my fifth step or like to my sponsor, talking about, hey, these are the, or to my wife, like these are the things that are going to happen because of what I did. And so when I like learned about F5 and went to this peer support class and learned like, hey, these are other people who not only just have addiction issues, but these are people who have, like, as a result of their addiction, that they have crimes, but they're reshaping their lives and helping other people who have crimes, being able to know, like, hey, just because you have a crime doesn't mean your life is over, doesn't mean you can't have a lot of different things. Because again, I had the treatments, I had all the different things that said, hey, you're an addict, that's okay. But I didn't really have anybody who was like, hey, you're a felon, that's okay. Most people were like, oh, cool, well, we're not gonna talk to you again. It was like just this whole, it was just a very different conversation at that point.
But you seem so nice.
Yeah. A lot of that too. And so it was just such a different perspective to know, like, hey, when you have that background, when you have, when you're criminally justice impacted for whatever reason, to know that, hey, like life can be different, that you can actually use that to be able to help other people with that story and be able to say, hey, you can do something different with your life. Because like every time it kept coming up, every time I would need to mention it, or it was a job application, we were still renting back then, but like thankfully I was already in a place, but I didn't have to apply for a place where I had to put that down. All those that would just kept, they wouldn't have cared about me having addiction, but they definitely would have cared about me having a felony. Right.
And it's being utilized more to help other people than it is to. And I'm sure if I told my mom when I was in and out of jail that I'm building a career, she would have frowned on that career. But anyway, but a lot of people are using that to help other people, and I think that's beautiful. I think if you've already stood at the gates of hell and seen it, you know what I mean? It's just like, well, it can't get worse, so I'm just going to help somebody else, And
hi, Satan. Guess I'm just going to be helpful here.
Before. Yeah. Wrong address again. Jeez. I just think if that's legit, all the fun people I'm going to be hanging out with all the fun people. And I do like it hot, so yeah. But
it's not Florida.
Well, is it though? Florida's a different place. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll all see one day. We're all gonna die. You ever watch that? Have you seen the Mario Brothers? The new one or whatever, and that little thing that's in the cage, and it's just like
spoiler
super
alert.
Demented. It's just like, oh, we're in a cage and nothingness, and they were just like so enthusiastic about just morbid reflection, and everyone's like, shut up. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, we do, but we're just not trying to ruin the movie. Maybe there's people who are listening who haven't seen it.
Oh, maybe. I just ruined it. Spoiler, there's a demented flame in or whatever it is.
Well, now I don't want to watch it.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
No, you should still watch it.
It's fun. It's great. It's the best Mario Brothers. You know what else is the best right now? Transformers. I know I talked about this earlier
Yeah.
already, but it is a great movie. It is the best Transformers movie they came out with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a
Even
big-
better than that is not watching a movie and helping your significant other with chores around the house.
Ooh.
Or talking him into watching it with you.
That would be good. Can you sit through a whole movie even?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. ADHD is like video games and movies are super easy to. You're stimulated.
Constantly.
Well,
Depending on the movie.
it's difficult. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's difficult.
If it's a girly movie,
Oh, boy.
I'm just like, I'm on my phone.
Well, that's all right. I do the same. I mean, it's hard to sit still. I can sit through a movie if I can crochet like a phallic chapstick holder or something like that. If I can have my hands busy, then I can do that. But
Yep.
I
That's
don't
fine.
even know what the words you just said.
well,
Chapstick holder?
Yeah, I know chapstick,
No,
I know
I know.
holder, never heard of phallic.
Phallic,
Don't know how all
PH.
those words come together.
I don't know how else to say it really.
That's a perfect way to say it
Yeah,
for
thanks.
where we're on the
I
I'll
radio.
give you a sample.
understand the words that you're saying, but I do not understand the sentence.
Girls
Well,
gotta have hobbies.
Yep, when we go off air, then she can explain it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just, again, wanted to thank Sean so much for just sharing his story. And again, most people, hopefully, if you're listening, you know our stories, you know our backgrounds and a variety of things that we've been in. But just with, today, the whole purpose and just the talking about of recovery was just the other aspects of, what addiction can kind of lead to, and, just the criminal aspect of being sick. That's
Yeah.
really what it is. And so I just encourage that anyone who's listening, who, is still trying to figure out and navigate their life, and it's like, no, man, just maybe feeling like life is over, and, like, oh, I have a felony now, or, I'm still navigating what the felony is like. There's people out there who are doing it and who have been successful
Yeah.
and have changed a lot, have turned around their lives. And I obviously want to plug, I never forgot to mention this, that you can still get your criminal record sealed in North Dakota, which is that's still a thing. Like, it was a really, really big thing when Adam did it, and, a lot of different people were kind of going and doing it, but, it kind of just wasn't like newsworthy anymore. But yeah, it's still a possibility if you need some information about how to get your record sealed. I think DOCR, someone made like this really, really handy kind of infographic PDF that I can email you. So just hit us up on Facebook or email Ricky@djprettyricky.com. However you get a hold of us, I would love to send it to you, and it literally completely illustrates all the steps that you need to take in order to get your record sealed. I don't want to misquote all the different things that you have to do in order to get your record sealed. But if that's you and you have a criminal record from any time in your past, and you're looking to, like, I really want to, seal that because it's going to help you in the long run, definitely let us know, because it's still possible. It's still out there. You don't need governor pardons. Like, North Dakota is really, really progressive in that way to be able to help you to be able to get that off your record. So definitely hit us up. Let us know in the comments, or, however. Please.
And it can be super overwhelming,
Yeah.
like when you get out of treatment, when you get out of being incarcerated. All of the things you have to do are super overwhelming, and it's really easy to just fall back into those old routines. And treatment's kind of a safety net. Like, you go there, you meet people that jive with your heart, and you feel really connected, and then you get out and you feel like there's just a lot of things to deal with, a lot of life things that are boring and overwhelming. But, just don't give up, and find other people in the same sinking ship as you.
Yep.
And a lot of some people are opposed to 12-step programs and the things that are there, but you don't have to go there forever. Go and meet other people in recovery. That's if that is your only goal, let that be the goal. So then, because you can't change a lot of these external things, but you can find people to help you walk through it.
Right.
And you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not getting better. It means you're staying in the same rut you've been in for a long time. And it is overwhelming to walk into any like 12-step program or new job or whatever. It's totally overwhelming. But
Come on, Kirsten.
if you're not willing
Pull
to
yourself
be,
up by your bootstraps.
yeah.
Boo.
I don't even have boots.
I don't have any boots. Oh, well then pull your socks up. They're dirty.
No, you said I need to go buy boots.
Go buy
what I'm
some
gonna tell my
boots.
husband.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah. But you're not alone. You're just not alone. And connect with the people you were in treatment with. Just find somebody to connect with.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody. Somehow. Yeah. Well, the remaining 5 minutes we have left. Anything you guys want to share? And
I have a lot of updates that I'm not going to share with anyone.
Ooh, mysterious.
Mysterious.
Are there any updates you can share?
No, we have updates that are going to happen in Minot, in Fargo, in Dickinson, has to do with programs. But it's all coming. So I'm gonna let everybody like in marketing do their jobs, and I'm not gonna get in the way. I'm gonna tease people. I'm gonna be like the Steve Jobs at the launch of something, and I have something special in my pockets for I don't know how long I'm gonna do it, but eventually we'll let you guys
tell
know.
People.
Yeah, and the podcast has updates coming, and so there's a lot of stuff.
It will be super fun, but did marketing tell you, listen, you go up there and you be quiet?
No, they came to me and they're like, Adam, what are the updates? You know how many people from F5 reach out to me and they're just like, what are the new updates that are coming? I hate finding out on social media. I'm like,
but that's just
how that's gonna go.
That's usually how.
And I'm like, how are you guys not paying attention? Like, look at the stuff that we're doing today. It's new, and they're like, yeah, and they're like, and people don't know about it. Yeah,
that's it.
That's an update.
Right. Yeah, but all of a sudden, but there is something to be said about just Adam Socials. Like you can always find out what F5 is doing from Adam Socials.
Yeah.
Before F5 tells you what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, they don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I don't have a job. Adam just fired me through social media.
We're moving again.
Yeah.
It's a new thing.
That's true, but at least they find out.
That's true.
It makes it exciting, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Until you're like,
it's like a present.
Like Scott, where you're like, oh my God, Adam just made some sort of big announcement.
You know what I think's funny is that Scott gets a lot of crap for not communicating, but he doesn't know.
Right.
So
he
he's
doesn't know
like,
what he doesn't know.
He's like,
and then we tell him.
Scott never communicates. I'm like, that's because he didn't know about it.
Yeah, until we
If
we
anything,
all read
it's
it.
Adam not communicating to Scott.
Yeah, and then we tell Scott, and then Scott like starts just rubbing
rolling
his
his eyes and
head.
rubbing
He
his
just does one
forehead,
of these, like, oh boy,
getting thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Scott, why didn't you tell us about it? And he could be like, well, because Adam didn't tell. He's just like, well, it just wasn't time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been walking around telling horrible dad jokes, not dealing with stuff.
That's his way of dealing with Adam trauma. Is I'm just gonna go. Where do bad rainbows go? Where, Scott? Prism.
Oh my gosh, I love that one.
Yeah,
That's really great.
They got a light sentence.
Oh,
I told it at Relapse
I love
Prevention
Scott.
last night, and the guys were just like, actually, Jackie walked in and she was like, what's wrong with you?
What are we
Why are
doing?
you acting like Scott? Please stop.
Why are you doing this?
He has an epic, like the jokes he has. I don't know how he remembers them all, and
Yeah, he's
I
so
think they're
old.
epic. I'm a total fan. I'm a total fan of college jokes.
There you go, college dad jokes. Awesome. Well, thank you all again so much. This is F5 Recovery Radio. We're just super thankful that we're able to do this every week. Tune in next week. We will be back 8 a.m. Central Time right here on KRFF 95.9 LPFM. If you aren't already following us on Facebook, please find us at F5project.org or at One Pretty Ricky. Please, we'd love to be able to stay connected and be able to tell you all the other amazing things. For all of our subscribers, we see you. We thank you. Please subscribe to our podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon. We're just on all the different, wherever you're listening for your podcast pleasure. And so thank you all so very much. Kirsten,
Yeah, it was
appreciate you.
awesome to hear from Sean today too.
Yeah,
so
big ups to
thanks
Sean.
again to him.
Sean
Yeah,
Wilson.
Sean's awesome.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dream.org. Thank you, F5 Project. And most importantly, thank you for listening.
And thank me.
Yes, and thank you, Adam.